Have you ever heard of a king so wise that his fame spread across the entire ancient world? A ruler whose wealth was so immense it was said to be legendary, and who built a temple so magnificent it became the heart of a nation. Today, we're journeying back in time, nearly 3,000 years, to uncover the story of one of history's most fascinating figures, King Solomon of Israel. His reign is a captivating tale of wisdom, wealth, power, and the complex legacy he left behind. So grab your metaphorical shovel, because we're about to do some historical digging. Solomon's story begins not on a battlefield, but within the intricate politics of the royal court. He was the son of the great King David, a warrior king who had united the tribes of Israel. But David's final years were fraught with succession drama. Solomon's older brother, Adonijah, made a bold play for the throne. However, with the help of his influential mother, Bathsheba, and the prophet Nathan, the young Solomon was anointed king, securing his place in history. This dramatic start set the stage for a reign that would be defined not by war, but by wisdom and diplomacy. Early in his reign, Solomon had a profound dream. In it, God appeared to him and offered him anything he desired: riches, long life, the defeat of his enemies. Solomon asked for none of these. Instead, he humbly asked for a discerning heart, what we would call wisdom, to govern his people justly. This selfless request pleased God, who not only granted him unparalleled wisdom, but also promised him the riches and honor he hadn't asked for. This event became the cornerstone of his identity, the very foundation of the legend of Solomon the Wise. And it wasn't long before his wisdom was put to the test in a now famous story. Two women came before him, both claiming to be the mother of the same baby. It was a classic he said, she said situation, with no witnesses and no way to prove who was telling the truth. How could anyone possibly solve this? Solomon's solution was as shocking as it was brilliant. He called for a sword and ordered the baby to be cut in two, with each woman receiving half. The court must have gasped in horror. But then, the true mother cried out, begging the king to spare the child and give him to the other woman. Her love was so great she would rather give up her son than see him harmed. The other woman, however, coldly agreed to the division. In that moment, Solomon's wisdom shone through. He identified the true mother by her compassion and returned the baby to her. News of this judgment spread like wildfire, cementing his reputation as a king with divine insight. With his kingdom stable and his reputation for wisdom growing, Solomon embarked on an era of unprecedented construction, transforming the landscape of his kingdom. His most famous project, a work that took 7 years and immense resources, was the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. This wasn't just any building. It was to be the permanent home for the Ark of the Covenant and the central place of worship for the entire nation. Solomon imported the finest materials, cedar from Lebanon, gold from Ophir, and employed the most skilled artisans. The temple was an architectural marvel, its interior overlaid with pure gold, a breathtaking testament to both his devotion and his kingdom's prosperity. It became the spiritual heart of Israel, a symbol of God's presence among his people. But the temple was just the beginning. Solomon also built a lavish royal palace for himself, a project that took 13 years to complete. He constructed fortresses, store cities, and chariot cities, strengthening his kingdom's infrastructure and military might. He undertook massive public works projects, creating a kingdom that was not only spiritually centered, but also prosperous and secure. This golden age was fueled by a thriving economy. Solomon established new trade routes by land and sea, his ships sailing to distant lands and returning with gold, silver, ivory, and exotic animals. He controlled key trade arteries, levying taxes on caravans passing through his territory. Israel, under Solomon, became a major commercial hub, and the king's personal wealth grew to legendary proportions. It was said that in his day, silver was as common in Jerusalem as stones. Solomon's reign was also marked by skilled diplomacy. Instead of conquering his neighbors, he forged alliances, often sealing them through political marriages. He famously married the daughter of the Egyptian pharaoh, a powerful alliance that brought stability and prestige. His harem, said to number 700 wives and 300 concubines, was a network of political connections, linking him to kingdoms and tribes from all over the region. This strategy maintained peace and facilitated the international trade that made his kingdom so rich. His fame reached its peak with the visit of a powerful and mysterious monarch, the Queen of Sheba. Having heard tales of Solomon's incredible wisdom and wealth, she traveled from her distant kingdom, likely in modern-day Yemen or Ethiopia, to test him with hard questions. She arrived with a grand caravan laden with spices, gold, and precious stones. The Bible tells us she and Solomon engaged in a battle of wits, and she was left breathless, not just by his answers, but by the splendor of his court, the organization of his administration, and the grandeur of the temple. She declared that the reality of his wisdom and prosperity far exceeded the reports she had heard. Her visit was the ultimate international endorsement of Solomon's golden age. Beyond his role as a king and builder, Solomon is traditionally credited with writing several books of the Bible. The Book of Proverbs, a collection of wise sayings and teachings about life, morality, and common sense, is largely attributed to him. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding is one of its most famous verses. He is also considered the author of the Song of Songs, a beautiful and passionate love poem, and the Book of Ecclesiastes, a profound and sometimes cynical philosophical reflection on the meaning of life. Vanity of vanities, says the teacher, all is vanity. These writings offer a glimpse into the mind of this complex ruler, revealing a man who contemplated everything from divine wisdom to the fleeting nature of human existence. However, no golden age lasts forever. The latter part of Solomon's reign tells a cautionary tale. The very thing that helped secure his kingdom, his many foreign wives, also led to its spiritual decline. To please them, Solomon allowed and even participated in the worship of their foreign gods, building altars and high places for deities other than the God of Israel. This was a direct violation of the covenant and a betrayal of the very source of his wisdom and success. The Bible presents this as a great failing, a turning of his heart away from the devotion of his youth. The consequences were severe. The seeds of division began to sprout within his kingdom. The massive building projects and the lavish lifestyle of the court were funded by heavy taxation and, according to some accounts, forced labor. Resentment simmered, particularly among the northern tribes who felt they bore the brunt of the burden. Enemies who had been subdued during his early reign began to rise up on the kingdom's borders. The unity that his father David had fought so hard to create began to fracture under the weight of Solomon's later choices. The prophet Ahijah foretold that because of Solomon's unfaithfulness, the kingdom would be torn in two after his death. And so it came to pass. After a 40-year reign, Solomon died and was buried in the city of David. His son, Rehoboam, took the throne, but he lacked his father's wisdom. When the northern tribes asked for their tax burden to be lightened, Rehoboam responded harshly, promising to be even tougher than his father. This was the final straw. The 10 northern tribes broke away, forming the kingdom of Israel, while only the tribes of Judah and Benjamin remained loyal to the house of David, forming the southern kingdom of Judah. Solomon's magnificent, unified kingdom was shattered, never to be fully restored. So what is the legacy of King Solomon? It's incredibly complex. He is remembered as the wisest man who ever lived, the builder of God's holy temple, the ruler over Israel's most prosperous and peaceful era. His name is synonymous with wealth, wisdom, and glory. Yet, his story is also a profound tragedy. It's a warning about how even the wisest among us can be led astray, how great beginnings can have sorrowful ends, and how personal failings can have national consequences. He had it all: wisdom, wealth, peace, but in the end, his compromises led to the division of the very kingdom he had built. His life serves as a powerful reminder that true wisdom isn't just about knowledge or cleverness, but about faithfulness and integrity. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the life of King Solomon. It's a story that continues to fascinate and teach us thousands of years later. If you enjoy this deep dive into history, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more stories like this. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What part of Solomon's story do you find most compelling? Until next time, stay curious.